realize like rentals are like a long play.
I don't lock something up locally that I don't intend to close on.
They get in this mindset, it's like scarcity, and it's like we gotta make money. You can't see the big picture.
It's not a deal if it's not a deal for your end buyer. You're doing them a disservice. You're taking up their time.
Who are you? What the heck do you do? All that good stuff.
Yeah, J.W. Epstein, buy and sell houses. I'm like Bluebell. I keep all I can, I sell the rest.
Like that. Did you come up with that?
I did. Bluebell, that's Bluebell's advertisement, right? I just took it and made it my own.
That's awesome, man. Well, how'd you get started?
Yeah, I was in the car business for 20 years. COVID decimated inventory levels, and I had to go do something else. And I was forced into that. It wasn't by choice, but I knew it was coming, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I had 6 rentals at the time, and I laid around and wallowed for a little bit. And then my wife was like, it's time to do something. I got up and I was like, okay, let me figure out what's going on here. And these guys are just selling houses, and I see them on Facebook and they're advertising. Like, how do I do that? In the local real estate group, there was a guy that had a post that he was open to mentorship. So I reached out to him, man, just absorbed everything I could, started finding different PPL providers, leads started coming in, just took off.
That's cool. That local Facebook group, I guess a lot of people are like anti-mentor and guru, which I've never understood. You have good experience, you have bad experience, but you you got to do it, I think, in my opinion. But how'd that play out for you?
Oh, it's awesome. We have a small portfolio now that we're looking to build on. You've got rentals. There's certain things that you're like, man, this would be good, but it just doesn't quite work. But 10 years from now, I'm going to look back, I'm going to go, man, I should have kept that house. So as we run across those, we'll get with one another. We're like, hey, what do you think about this one? I got enough cash right now. I don't need to sell this one. I want to keep it, and we just throw it in the pot. Neither one of us, it's not money that we're dependent on. It's just a slush fund. It's a retirement fund. It's all retirement fund to me.
Yeah, people don't realize like rentals are like a long play. They think, oh, I'm gonna buy this thing, it's gonna rent for 1,000. I'm gonna get 10 of them. I'm gonna make 10,000 a month. It doesn't work that way.
Never works that way. That's why I say I keep all I can and I sell the rest. I have to sell them to cover CapEx expenses and all of that. You just had a guy destroy a property of yours, and unfortunately, it's just part of it, and you just have to accept it and move on.
$50,000 house that cost me 20 grand in damage.
I know. It's crazy. It costs $10,000 to open a door anymore. Just to walk in and do anything, you're going to spend 10.
Yeah.
I am. Maybe you got better contractors than I do. I don't know.
I can turn a property these days because I have some volume for probably about 2,500 to 3,000. Not buying it. I'm saying if I already own it, earn it when they get out, which I think is good because used to it would cost me like 8 to 10 grand if a tenant would move out. Now I've got people in place to where I can probably turn it 2,500 if it's pretty bad.
Okay, that's awesome. I'm getting some of that. I'm starting year 4 of doing this full time, so starting to get those guys, and yeah, that's a big difference maker. But for me, I would rather pay more and be more hands off than to pay less and have to babysit that, because that's not where I make my money.
Absolutely.
A trade-off there. Obviously, you've got a lot better systems and processes than I do, so I'm still working on those and building those out.
Hell yeah, man. And you're wholesaling a lot too, right?
Yeah, so it's interesting that the way you say that. So my mentor here, he's been doing this 20 years in this market, and a wholesale to him is what we call a wholetail. Most of the time when we say wholesale, we're talking about an assignment of contract. And so I was taught to close on the property and then figure out what you're going to do with it. I do some assignments. I'm not going to say that I don't, but the majority of my properties I close on, clean them out, and I actually wholesale them without really doing anything at all. So yeah, that's
such a good habit and a good way to be wired, because you get in such bad habits when you not you, I'm saying in general, wholesalers get bad habits because they got to make money. So they start looking at deals with these rose-colored glasses because they need money. And these deals are just so bad across the whole industry. Quick story is I've got a dude in my wholesales group, and he sends me a message this morning. He's like, bro, I'm buying this foreclosure. He's never told me about this deal ever. I'm buying this foreclosure. I've got a lender. They're gonna do it on Tuesday, but the home's getting foreclosed on today. Can you lend on it? I'm like, send me the deal. Dude sends it. It's a crap deal. Wholesaler sold it to him. I'm like, I'm damn glad you couldn't get funding on it. And come to find out, I dug in and they owed 100K less. And I'm like, bro, just go renegotiate. So I'm working with him on that right now. I'm hoping we could do it with a partner and make a lot of money. But they get in this mindset. It's like scarcity and it's we got to make money. You can't see the big picture.
Yeah, and it is a scarcity mindset. You're not wrong. It's pressing, right? You're pressing, and that gets real. You ain't no money in the bank account. Like I've been in sales my whole life. I've after I graduated, I've always been commissioned. So, and there's either money in the bank or there's not. People laugh when I say this, but a KPI is my bank account. That's my KPI. And that's my main KPI. I mean, I don't track them like I should, but it's a real thing. And people that are wholesaling don't realize the time, energy, and money that it takes. And they see all of this stuff and they're like, man, this is easy. I just get on the phone and then I go sell it. But like you were saying, when it's my money, it makes you look at it a whole lot differently. Like I'm not locking something up. I don't lock something up locally that I don't intend to close on. Obviously, I do some stuff virtually, not a ton. It's a little bit different because you're not seeing the property. So you've got to have those processes and you've got to be able to cancel if need be. But I don't write a contract locally that I don't intend to close on. It's just, yeah, that is my process. So
A good habit. That's a really good habit. We got in the habit where we were locking stuff up everywhere and doing a lot of assignments and stuff, but the fees were so much lower. When you step back, just because I didn't care if it was rural, whatever, but when you step back, it's damn, make 10 times more with 10 times less work, just being efficient instead of a shotgun approach. What advice do you have? Because I know you buy and sell property, like actually close on it. What advice do you have for like maybe wholesalers listening to this or like up and comer investors that might want to do this?
you really need to dive into the numbers. You need to have a realistic approach as to what those numbers are. You talk about them, you want to look at 60 days, 60 days on market. For me, it depends on the price range, right? It for me, because a lot of my stuff, I don't want to hold it more than 30 days. Like I'm buying it, if I'm buying a $50,000 house, I just look at it through a different lens. Okay, is somebody going to come close and pay on this for 60, $70,000 after I clean it up? And is it going to make sense? I've got spreadsheets that have broken down if I'm going to hold it as a rental. I plug in taxes, I plug in insurance. I look at my actual net cash because there's a lot of times people go into this and they don't look at those things. They don't calculate expenses every month that are going to come into it. So as a wholesaler, it's not a deal if it's not a deal for your end buyer. You're doing them a disservice. You're taking up their time. Less people are going to look at your deals if all you do is send crap. That's not a deal. Um, I don't know how to get people to look at it like it's their money unless they use their money.
Yeah.
And if they can switch those hats and really look at it and diagnose it, that would be my advice. Break it down. Like try to figure out how someone else is going to make money on this deal.
Yeah.
A reasonable amount of money. You've seen there'll be guys that have a $30,000 assignment fee and the end buyer is going to make 10. It's hard work locking up a contract. Don't get me wrong. It's harder work to dispo a deal.
Yeah.
It's even harder work to go in and do all of that work and have all of that. And all of a sudden that guy's getting a smaller piece of the pie than you. It's rose colored glasses, like you were just saying.
Yeah. I hate trying to find a sucker. Unfortunately, that's what a lot of the industry is doing. I get pitched deals. Fortunately, I'm happy. That's why I put myself out there. Half my day is underwriting deals and they're all crap. Like all of them. Both. And if they're not, it's because I figured out how to, like the situation this morning. It was horrible, but I went in and did some extra research. I'll manipulate it to make it a good deal. But dude, I can't tell you the last time I got sent just like a deal that you'd be like, damn, that's a deal. We need to buy that. And that's crazy.
It is, but so let's touch on that just a minute. Like you looked at the deal, you diagnosed it, and you figured out what it took, right? A lot of times, myself included, okay, there's a lot of times that I don't ask enough questions.
Yeah.
I get into a deal and I'm in, and I've got a number and I know where it makes sense. And yeah, we've got to help the homeowner. I mean, that they're calling because they've got a problem,
Yeah.
but we're not doing them. How many times have you hung up the phone and go, man, what was like they need some help? What was there? Because you didn't ask enough questions, right? I know I have. I'm assuming at some point you have. I didn't ask this question. What if I would have asked the guy this? Where would that conversation have gone? And the challenge with that is once you hang up that phone, getting back into that same groove and getting into that, it isn't the same.
Yeah.
It's there's a barrier that's built up because you've gone. It can work vice versa. It takes some time sometimes to warm people up, but I always look back and go, had I asked this question, had I done this? I had a situation the other day where I went to the appointment. I knew I couldn't buy the house. I go to every appointment. If there's motivation, I go to every appointment. My town's not too big. It doesn't, yeah, I do. I get made fun of because I do a lot of driving. It's what I do. I enjoy it. I enjoy the personal communication. But I knew going over there based on what she bought the house for, I could not help her by buying the house. She would lose money, right?
Yeah.
As we talked, I tell her, I said, I want to help you. And she's like, yeah, sure. You're an investor. Sure, you want to help. And I'm like, listen, I got to make money. Let's just get the elephant out of the room.
Yeah.
I know I can't buy your house. This was like in the first 3 minutes of being there. I was like, I know I can't buy your house. You're going to lose money if I buy your house. Let's figure out another way. Still trying to go through that process with her. I'm going to fund the rehab. She bought the house with cash. She has no cash to finish it. I'm going to fund the rehab. We're going to end up listing the house. I'm going to get my money back plus a percentage at the end. So a true novation, the way Eric Brewer designed the novation. I don't know if he invented it or not, or just coined the phrase, but the way that it was meant to be. And I don't know if it's going to, what all is going to play out. And I explained to her, you might lose money when this is done. I'm going to give you X number of dollars to fund the rehab. I want X number of dollars back. I get my money before you get yours.
Yeah.
I can't help what it's going to sell for. And she was happy with that. Solved her problem. That's what we have to do is figure out how to solve the problem. And I think you end up getting better deals in the long run.
And how are you structuring that paperwork wise?
That's a great question, Travis. I don't know. Again, I was there and
Yeah.
that was the only thing that made sense. She needed help. She has a house. If I were to buy the house, she had $150,000 in the house.
Yeah.
It's a $75,000 house as it sits to me, where it makes sense for me to buy it, go through the whole process, hold everybody's hand.
Yeah.
It's a 220 to 250 house. It's a big house in a small house neighborhood. So it's big man on the block,
Yeah.
which is going to make it tough.
Yeah.
I just knew she needed help. And I was like, I knew I could help. I had resources to help her that she didn't have.
Yeah.
It might come out that she finds other resources and figures out another way. But if I at least gave her that information and shared that knowledge with her,
Yeah.
my job is done. If I make money, that's great. If she figures out another way, that's
Yeah.
okay too. I don't know. I'm going to have a lien. I'll be first lien holder on the property. I've got to get with somebody to get some novation paperwork because I've never done one. But
I've got it if you want it. So you just
okay. Yeah, I'm gonna get somebody to help walk me through that. I
Yeah.
just shoot from the hip when I'm out there, and I'm like, we'll figure it out as we go.
What's cool though, since you'll get first lien, you could probably just do like a JV agreement too with y'all side terms. You don't really that'd be badass since you have first lien.
Yeah.
That's not typical.
No, and it was a great situation. Again, I wasn't super worried about it because
Oh, yeah.
there was nobody else there, and I was like, listen, I'm gonna get to make all the decisions.
Yeah.
But you've got to trust me. But at the end of the day, I get to make the call as to what this is going to look like. And if you don't perform on your end, there's some stipulations after the rehab is going to be done. She's got to make interest payments on the money that's loaned. If you don't do that, I can foreclose and own this house.
Yeah.
It's not what I want to do, but it's business. Like you've got to set those precedents. Otherwise, you get taken advantage of.
Yeah. I love that you touched on that because like we are problem solvers. Any business, you're a problem solver. We're talking real estate right now. If we could solve a problem, that's how we get paid. We don't get paid by like deceiving people, or you might, but you don't keep payments coming or pulling the wool over somebody or finding a sucker. If more people tried to help sellers and tried to help their buyers, they'd make money, a lot more money.
So the money always comes. You don't have to find the money. the money always comes. It's like a deal. I get people call me all the time. They're like, how do I get started? I don't have any money. How are you doing this? I'm like, go find me the deal. I'll find the money.
Yeah.
The money is the money's the easiest part. And people don't realize that. Obviously, there's a ton of people that are doing this virtually. I'm the other way. It can be done virtually, and there's tons of people that have success. But go out in the community and get real with people.
Yeah.
You'll figure out how to solve problems. If you can get real with people over the phone and really get real, it'll all come back to you. And it's a process, but too often everybody's just trying to get paid, and the money is always secondary.
Yeah. No, you brought up a good point because everybody's different. Like you said, you feed on other people's energy and you do well that way. I don't like stepping out of my office when I do work, but that's just me. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean that's right, wrong. Like for you, that's how you're successful. And I think it's important you mention that because there's not one way to do this. People got to figure out what feels good. It sounds funny, but I really think they got to figure out what feels good to them and do more of that. And like you said, don't require payment up front. Don't even think about that. Just provide value and the payment will come. It's just like I remember being younger and going to apply for jobs. You don't want to know how much you'll make? I'm like, no. What do you mean? I was like, I don't really care. I just want a job. I want to work hard. Just pay me what you think. You're like, this is
Yeah.
crazy. But like now I'm like, that's the mentality I think you should have.
So being commissioned, I don't. So it's crazy. I went to school to be a teacher, athletic trainer, sports medicine. Couldn't find a job, and I started a guy that I was doing my student teaching with. His brother was selling cars. He was a manager. He goes, "Hey, go over and go sell cars." Start selling cars. And I loved it. I've always been paid what I was worth,
Yeah.
and there's so many people in a W-2 that don't realize they're actually on commission.
Yeah.
They just their commission is dictated
Yeah.
versus what somebody else wants to tell them they're going to, like you were saying, what somebody else is going to tell them versus going out and if I don't perform, I don't get paid. I don't feel like I deserve to get paid.
Yeah, I agree, man. I appreciate the hell out of you coming on. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so just my personal Facebook is the best, JW Epstein. I've got my email, jwbuyshouses@yahoo.com, phone number 806-681-5167. That's I'm the opposite of you. That's the best place to find me. I'm gonna respond to a text message. I'm gonna answer the phone.
Yeah.
I love helping people. I love talking to people. For sure, if you have a deal in Amarillo, anywhere around me within 100 miles, just let me know and we'll figure something out that makes sense for all of us.
What's your buy box if somebody does have a deal?
Man, if it makes money, like I don't, people ask me that all the time, and maybe I should narrow that down and have some more parameters. But really, $150,000 and below is what I prefer. So you're 150 and you really don't even want one and above. You want 200, 300 plus. But yeah, 150 and below. Some of that just has to do with the area that I'm in,
Yeah.
the median home price. You bring me a $300,000 house here. There ain't many $300,000 houses selling quick.
It's a good point. That's why I like to ask because, like, where I'm at, if you get 150 less, I'm in the hood. Like, that's why I don't want it. I did that forever. Now I'm like, all right, I want to deal on the other side. Different areas, it's different. So I think that's super important. But yeah, man, thank you so much. Appreciate you coming on, brother.
Yeah, thank you.